Hello, today is August 26th, 2015 when I'm recording this. Not sure again when I'll get it up. But obviously there are a lot of things going on that I had to say something here today. First of all, we could say our condolences to all of those who suffer violence. I think it was Stalin who said, one person dies, it's a tragedy. 1,000 or 1,000,000 or whatever figure he used, it's a statistic. And all I can say is this: every person that suffers violence in any way, shape, or form, it's a tragedy, and the families that have to remain behind. What I hope we don't lose focus on here is that there are forces at work in the world. First of all, natural forces, the tribal instincts, things like that, that make us want to stand up for our own. And that's understandable. But I hope that we all also recognize that there are forces in the world who will cultivate that, use it for their own purposes. In other words, there are politicians, corporate entities, bureaucrats, national leaders, intelligence operations, that for their own benefit, for their own greed, will use differences amongst the people to cause the people to commit atrocities against each other. And this has been going on for a long time. There are people that we could blame for all the things that happen in the world, but chief amongst them are those who lead the nations, who lead corporations, the banks, etc. They are really the ones that push these things from all different angles. So what I want to say today is that I hope that we base our reactions not on hate for one another, who are actually victims of all of this. All of us are. But I hope that our actions turn on those who are controlling all of this. Again, they're not your next door neighbor. Not in this country, not in the next country. Everyone pretty much wants the same thing. But when you have people in power that use these differences for their own purposes, then you see the real end results on a massive scale. Tyranny, etc. So, while I'm very saddened by what's happened today, I'm also saddened by the thousands, if not millions, of people that have been killed by unjust wars, fostered by the very nations who say that they're out there to protect you, to give you security. It's all a lie. I guess we could base it on this. There are two great laws, two great commandments. And I know there are those in particular religious organizations that will see these differently, but I'm saying it from the spirit of love here. Love God with all your heart, might, mind, and strength. And the second is like unto it. Love your neighbor as yourself. In these two are based all the law and the prophets. So I would hope that we think about that before we react and go after the wrong people. Now, who are the right people to go after, and in what manner? Below is a link to Operation Detain McCain. As you know, I am no fan of McCain's, quite the opposite. I am no fan of Boner, of McConnell, of Reid, of Pelosi, and really not too many politicians today, period, or corporate heads, military leaders, national heads, on and on and on. So what is this Operation Detain McCain? It's being sponsored by Pete Santilli, and a lot of you will not appreciate that, but You got to put the personalities aside here and look at what's going on. It's time to hold leaders in these positions of leadership, supposed leadership, accountable for their actions. Not take it out on your neighbor, but go after the real problem. McCain, Reid, McConnell, Boner, even President Obama, throwing him out of office, getting him up on charges of whatever. The Supreme Court justices, political and government leaders and bureaucrats throughout the system that do not abide by the constitutional oaths that they have taken or should have taken. So please look at this link below if you are inclined. I would hope that you in some way take part, either by sending the information forward in texts, emails, tweets, whatever you use in your system, or even showing up in Phoenix at McCain's office on September 5th. To start holding these politicians, these leaders in all parts of our society accountable for their gross actions against us and against mankind. So that's all I'll say about that at this point. There are a couple of other things I want to bring up. The stock market is not, the whole difficulty in the financial markets right now is not China's fault. China can only sell what we can buy, and if we can't buy, they can't work. You see how that works? So trying to point to China is a very simplistic thing, and I realize that most politicians will go to the bottom line and talk to the most simplistic minds. Sorry, folks, that's just the way it is. But as I said before, if they do not base their platforms on the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, beware of them. I don't care how good they look. Beware of them. It's time to raise the consciousness level of the people up a notch, not keep it down where they can't think or understand the real issues involved. Okay, 4-star General Ray Odierno. Did you see what happened to him? This guy was, as far as I'm concerned, a butcher in the Middle East who put aside all aspects of human rights and was really behind, or at least going along with, the Jade Helm thing that we see happening now. What type of a civilian position did he get when he left the military? He just retired? He gets hired by J.P. Morgan. I hope that you see that this connection between the military-industrial complex and the banks, between the New World Order and the leaders of the military-industrial intelligence complex, are all one. They are our problem, just as McCain is, just as Boner is, just as McConnell is, Reid, Pelosi, your local water board or school board superintendent, when they start to force things onto you that are not constitutional, are not based on the Bill of Rights. These are the people that are a problem. And there's a perfect #1 example, just as Petraeus. Despite what happened to him, he still got some pretty spectacular jobs afterwards. So this is kind of a follow-on to my last video where I said confronting John McCain. This is telling you how we can do that, and this should be done to all of our politicians, all of these bureaucrats, all of these corporate leaders who defy the law. They want to hold you responsible for, and I know this is just a phrase, spitting on the sidewalk to the nth degree of the law. But they can violate the supreme law of the land and not be held accountable. The news media is in their hands. There is no free press in the United States other than in the alternative media. All of the mainstream media people are bought and paid for by the military intelligence industrial complex. They are not free agents to speak according to the truth. You cannot depend upon them. So I would hope that with all that is going on, we will start holding the people accountable who really are accountable for these horrible crimes at the highest levels that filter down through society and cause other tragedies and atrocities, that they then turn around, and again, the political leaders, etc., that then turn around and use those to further their tyrannical, authoritarian, horrible, atrocious agendas. Again, look at the link below, and hopefully you'll take part in some way, shape, or form to bring down these criminals in government. Not the government itself. Government itself, the supreme law of the land, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, etc., is actually a pretty decent system. It's how it's been taken over and abused because we, the people, where that law really resides, have fallen asleep. It's time to wake up. Not be against your neighbor, but to realize the people in power are the ones that have caused all of these things to occur because we have been asleep. As I mentioned at the beginning, that there are criminal elements in our political and corporate institutions, even in our religious institutions, basically everywhere from the top down to your local, water board, superintendent of your school board. I mean, all of those. The guy that comes out and checks on your meters. I mean, it's really gotten to the point where the establishment has infected this tyranny from the top to the bottom and justified it under every guise, every lie, every excuse. And so the people that we need to hold accountable for all of this are those at the top and those who participate in their deceptions. And so there are some actions that are going to be taken on September 5th. A group of veterans, a group of concerned citizens, a group of constitutionalists, conservatives, Christians, whoever, that are going to call for the arrest of John McCain. I'm sure that's one of the things that's going to happen here. But also spend some time at his office in Phoenix, basically exposing what he's done. Not that everybody doesn't know, but that it's time to not look the other way, whether it be McCain, Reed, McConnell, Boner is my preferred name for him. I think that's actually how you say it. All of the politicians, all the people in all the different branches of government, all the bureaucrats have overstepped their constitutional granted authority. Indeed, all tyrants all around the world. The people need to hold them accountable. And so this is kind of maybe not the first step, but a significant one. So please look at the link below. And if you can, send the information forward to anybody else that you can. And if you have the time and the capability and the resources, please take part in this Operation Detain McCain in Phoenix at McCain's office if you can. I will say just one more time, your neighbor, the people down the street, the people in the next state, even the people in the next country are not your enemy. They are just like you. Do not let these politicians, these New World Order pundits, and their mass media that is paid for by them. It's not a free press anymore, if it ever was, but it certainly is not now. The first bastion of protection of the liberty of the people has been bought and paid for by corrupt influences in government and corporations and the military, intelligence, security, industrial complex, CIA, DEA, FBI, all of them. MI6, MI5, Mossad, it doesn't matter. The intelligence agencies are in this for themselves. They're part of the grand conspiracy, directly controlled by the people at the very, very top. They are those who pose the greatest threat to you, your family, indeed, the well-being of everyone on the earth. Out here.